Hey team, good morning. My name is Emily Roberts. I'm a Diamond Ambassador and I want to talk to you about patience in Plexus, whether that's with your products or maybe with your business. Maybe you are looking to change a life or two, but I want to leave you with an analogy as you are discovering more and more patience or maybe less and less patience. Maybe your patience is wearing thin and you're becoming discouraged. So I want to share some things with you this morning. And if you're watching this later, you can hashtag replay below to boost it back up so somebody else can watch this. Or maybe you think of somebody on your team or a sideline ambassador that you want to share this with. Feel free to tag them on this video. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. So feel free to share below. But I want you to think about being a farmer for a second, all right? I am not a farmer. I only know what Google has told me about farming or my friends that are in that huge industry that just makes the world go around. Farming goes back all the way to 10,000 BC. So farming has been around for quite some time. And yes, it will contribute to your Plexus business, even your health journey. So if you're joining me this morning, please say hi and hello, and let's talk about being patient. Farmers have to be patient, right? If you think about it, they are so responsible for a lot of things. Optimism, checking the weather, being patient. They need to have wisdom or some sort of knowledge about whatever it is that they're getting ready to harvest and possibly sell to others. They're risk takers, right? Because they can't control the weather or the outside effects around their crops, right? So stay with me here. They have to know their surroundings, the land that they are choosing to grow their crops in. That includes like their environment. They have to be frugal, right? They can't just dump all their money into one thing. They need to make wise, reasonable purchases as they go. And of course, they have to put in hard work, because if they don't, what happens? Their crops die. And we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen in our business. And I know farmers don't want that to happen. So I want to offer some fresh perspective for you. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a farmer, because this is what happens. Most of the time when you join a network marketing business like Plexus, you think that fishing is just going to be your lotto ticket, right? And this is what I mean by fishing. You send one person a sample and you think they're going to join your team, right? You're like casting that line. There's bait on the end. That pink drink is the bait. You think they're going to drink it and boom, bam, done. Sometimes that happens and it's wonderful and it's exciting and you're like, oh my gosh, I got my first ambassador. And then sometimes nothing happens. Or my favorite, you post a status on social media, or you post something on Instagram, like an Instagram story, and you wait, right? Just like fishing, you cast that line and you sit there and you wait for a couple nibbles. You wait for that bite so you can reel them in. That is fishing, and that is not what we want to do with our business or even with our products. You don't want to just take MetaBurn one time and say, okay, well, that sucks. That product doesn't work. I didn't lose anything, or I thought this was supposed to help burn fat and I'm still fat. That's fishing. When we just do one thing one time and we leave out the waiting process. We leave out the work in between. Now, I'm not saying fishermen do that. I'm sure they are just as hard workers. That is a different analogy for a different day. I'm just talking about, walking down to the pond, casting your line, and thinking you're going to go back to camp with 40 fish to feed everybody. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen in your business. That's not going to happen in your health journey. So I want to talk about farming and planting and seeding and weeding and protecting. Just like our products do for us, we have to do the same thing in our businesses, like farmers. And at the end of the day, when you do all of these things and you take all of these steps, you reap the harvest. Whether you keep it for yourself or you share with others, that harvest is what keeps you coming back every single year because you took the steps to take care of it. So let's talk about that. Farmers have to be patient, right? When it comes to farming, they have to know about Mother Nature, right? They have to know about the weather, and they probably know more about the weather than the dadgone weatherman, right? So they know when it's going to be cloudy, when it's going to be sunny. Have you ever heard, I don't know if you've ever been in the South, that's where I'm from. If you've ever been in the South and you sit outside with a grandpa or grandparent or two, and they're rocking in their rocking chair on the front porch, and they're like, rain's coming. More often than not, that person has served time in a field as a farmer or helped with farming. And they know and can smell or can sense when a storm is coming, when a storm is brewing. And that is just because they know weather and they know what it's going to look like before it even happens. So they have to watch weather every single day. They have to know what's going to keep their crops growing, what if it's going to be too much sun, too little sun. They kind of just figure it out as they go. Now, here's the thing. Our businesses are the same way. Sometimes we post way too much testimonies. Sometimes we post way too much about Joyum. Sometimes we post way too much salesy things and all these promotions and incentives, and we cheapen our business. Sometimes we do that. Guys, go upstairs. Sometimes we do that and Sometimes we do that and it ruins our crops. Everything that we've planted, all these seeds that we've planted, we're building relationships, we're doing all these things, but in real life, we're not taking our products, or in real life, I'm on the video. In real life, you are not reaping what you sow. You are not walking the walk as you talk the talk. So let's think of Mother Nature as social media, our friends and family, the inner circle that we're in. And when we're looking around at our audiences and when we're looking around and getting a feel for people, can we see when someone has skepticism coming our way? Can we see when someone's like ready to go, but we talk them out of buying it because we talk too much instead of just sealing the deal? When it comes to Mother Nature and the weather changing in our businesses, this is exactly something that we can work on. It has nothing to do with your strengths or your skill set. It's just about shutting up and letting them proceed with what they wanted to do. Risk taking. The risk that you took cost you $40. That is a bad dinner date out for two people these days, okay? And this is getting you a business that lasts an entire year, awesome discounts and all of that. You know that. So when it comes to risk taking, I want you to remember why you started in the first place, whether it's vanity, whether it's to pay for your kids' college in cash, whether it's to stay off of medications that are making you feel worse than better. The risk that you're taking is so minuscule. It is so minimal that you can indeed reap a harvest without losing anything but $40. And you're not going to lose that if you listen to this advice and these tips. When it comes to wisdom and knowledge in our business, you are provided a plethora of resources from your back office. We have Google at our fingertips. We have some really incredible smart jewels with YouTube channels. And when it comes down to, well, I can't share about that because I don't know it all. Neither do I. I had to find a way to dumb it down. And not even for my audience, but for myself. This was a way for me to learn, was getting on that video and talking about ProBio 5 and what I noticed it did for me. And that encouraged other people to try it. And then from there, I could go plug them into a scientific article, in the back office that Plexus provided for me. But it's the same thing with farming. They have to have the wisdom and knowledge for the type of grass, for the type of seed, for enough water, enough sunlight. If you have one or too little of one of those extra things, the crop will die, the crop will overgrow, it could attract a certain type of insect or bug. We have the same thing in our businesses. Whether it is, we're all about posting on social media, but we don't take the time of day to jump on a Zoom call with our team. We don't take the time of day to get on a coaching call with our upline to work on something. We don't take the time to print out our IPAs or write down our goals for the month. It's the same thing with farming. They don't take the time to check their soil to see if it's dense or if it's dried out or if there's bugs eating their crops. Then they're going to lose their harvest. They lose their harvest, they lose their income. And then that's what's providing food for their families. So it's just some really interesting perspective. It's even in the Bible. For those of you that like scriptural references, it's in James chapter 5, verse 7 through 11. And it says, "Be patient, therefore, brothers and sisters, before God comes back. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, and being patient about it until he receives it before or after the rains." Now, for me, hearing that Sunday at church, just that verse, and that's what like triggered this whole analogy, was that when it comes to my business and farming, I have to remember that patience is the fruit of the Spirit. It's not something that you just have. You have to work for it. Patience is hard, especially as a parent, especially as a business owner. Not having patience in your business is paying $40 or actually taking two $20 bills out of your wallet every day for a year and just chunking them in the trash. That's how I feel when you don't share about Plexus or when you don't take your products. You're just throwing away $40. So I want you to think about this analogy with the farmers and the time that they take to feed their crops, to protect their crops from negative outside things like bugs or harsh weather. We have that too. Harsh relationships and skeptics on social media, family members that don't support us. Find someone that does support you, like an upline or a sideline. Find someone that will cheer you on every step of the way. Why do we continue to go back to that one negative person that we know is going to shut us down? Why do we do that? Farmers don't do that. Farmers don't go and go get more bugs and put more bugs on their plants. No. Instead, they find some sort of safe repellent to remove that, or they adjust their crops, so they adjust how they're going to grow them. So I want you to think about that today with me as we are being patient in our business, because if we lack patience, things will fall apart. We get discouraged, we give up, and then our team does the same because they do what we do. We post about social media like a fisherman, and we're not training our teams and loving on our teams and supporting our teams. They're going to do the same thing. They're not going to love and train their teams because you're not doing it. They're not going to post on social media because you're not doing it. And here's the thing. There are diamonds that went to the top of this company while they worked a 9-to-5 job, multiple jobs. There are people that went to the top of this company that lived under a bridge, that have lost their spouses. There are legit farmers that are diamonds. It's really cool, actually. Dairy farmer Brianne Coolidge is a diamond ambassador, and it just blows my mind what her and her husband do every day on their farm. And it requires patience. Job in the Bible was very patient, and he had to listen to what God was telling him every single day. Well, Charles is not God, but he's an executive that was in the field once. He did network marketing for 20 years, and that decision that led him to be the CEO of Plexus. He knows what it's like. He knows the patience behind being an ambassador. He knows the feeling of rejection, but he also knows the feeling of reward and acceptance, because there are people out there, 7.4 billion to be exact, on this planet. So if someone's telling you no, someone doesn't want the harvest that you're reaping for them, go find someone else that will buy your crops. Go find someone else that wants that seed planted in their life. Okay? That's my encouragement for you guys today. One last analogy for you guys. Oh, thank you. Scarlett's bringing me all of my vitamins. One last analogy for you guys is, if this whole farmer thing wasn't cutting it for you, maybe a puzzle analogy will. Okay, have you ever been to Target in the toy section with your kids? If you have, let me know below. If you've been to Target, usually on the left side of the wall, that like right before you get to like bicycles and stuff, there's all these like puzzles and games and game boards and whatnot. So I don't know about you guys, but when your kids say like, I want that puzzle, right? It has like Paw Patrol on it or like Star Wars, something that they want, and you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, like all these puzzle pieces are gonna be all over my house. Like that's immediately what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about how fun and the family memories and the bonding and the patience that I must have to put the puzzle together. No, I see that it's for ages 12 to 18 and it has 1,280 pieces, and I'm like, no, you get Play-Doh, let's go home. You know, that's what I'm thinking. So I want you to think of this puzzle analogy. Are you looking at all of the pieces right now in your business? Okay, I have to post on social media. I have to take my products. I should probably go to the gym. I should probably leave my house or talk to my coworkers. Oh man, I should probably invite that girl over to try my pink drink. Oh, I should probably host and sip and see, but that's nerve-wracking. Are you looking at all the pieces negatively of the things that you should be doing to grow your business? Or can you stop and just look at the picture on the outside of the box? The big picture, the complete picture. What would your complete Plexus picture look like? I want you to share that with me below for those of you that are feeling courageous and bold this morning. What does that look like? Does that look like being a debt-free family? Does that look like retiring your husband early from the military? Does that look like being an independent single mom that can keep groceries on the table and all your bills paid? What does the big picture look like for you? because we got to be patient. Yeah, there's lots of pieces and intricate details to growing a successful business, but the big picture, if we keep that at the forefront of our mind, right up there with our why, then the patience is worth it and all the hard work will pay off. So I want you to think about that with me today. I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts, or maybe even some ways that you are practicing patience.